So welcome to Saltburn, northeast England, a small seaside town, Saltburn-by-the-Sea. Nothing to do with that 2023 movie of the same name, Saltburn. In fact, the reason why that was called Saltburn, I read earlier, was because the writer and director just liked the name and thought it would be a good name for her fictional house country manor that the film was set in. But this is Saltburn. What we're going to do now is go back up to the top and start from up there. So I'm at the top of the cliff, and here is the bandstand, but it's actually only opened in 1997. But it's reading this little symbol here, this little sign, dedicated to Jack Taylor for his tenacious work providing funds for this bandstand, because the original one was bombed by German bombers. There we go. With the trains on there and the pier. So down there, we'll walk down into Valley Gardens, like an old Victorian, place to have fun and walk around with your family, see what's going on until we get to the front with the seagulls of Saltburn. That looks good, doesn't it? Well kept. Well done, the gardeners of Valley Garden, Saltburn. I tell you what, it's freezing. I think it's like 2 degrees, 3 degrees. Only the hardiest of visitors come to Saltburn, the northeast coast, in the depths of February. Freezing. Even the tea rooms is closed, so you can't warm yourself up in there. Look at all these molehills. And in all my life, after seeing thousands and thousands of molehills, I've never actually seen a mole, not once. Right, we're almost at the beachfront, passing, of course, fish and chip shop, Edna's Ices, and greetings from Saltburn. You can tell the old Victorian type cartoons. We'll have a look around here, look at that. Saltburn. And here are some interesting facts about Saltburn, gleaned from my good friend Google. Saltburn-by-the-Sea, the name comes from the Saxon word Saltburn, which means salty stream. Saltburn is close to the town of Middlesbrough, where I'm from. It's popular with surfers, believe it or not, and I can see some out there. I cannot believe they're braving that cold North Sea. And rock pooling, I used to do that as a kid when I came here with my family. Victorian entrepreneur Henry Peace founded this resort, more about him later on, and the town used to be a centre for smugglers in the 18th and 19th century, and in fact we're coming up to the part where that used to happen. Here we go. So this behind me, I think, is the original old Saltburn village with the ship in, and there were a few houses and a few farmers and fishermen lived in those, but the pub is quite famous because the landlord back in the day was someone called John Andrew, a Scotsman who settled here and became the landlord, and he became like the chief smuggler for this part of the northeast coast. And smuggling was huge business back in the day because there was huge amounts of tax put on it, I think to fund the Napoleonic Wars. So what happened was ships would come in, and these smugglers, led by the landlord there, they would grab it all from the sea and they would hide it in their houses away from the excise men who visited periodically. If he'd have got caught, he'd have been hanged. So it was a dangerous business, but he got away with it. And gin and tea and things like that came in, tobacco, and he made his living doing that, as well as selling a few pints of beer in the ship inn. When I was like a little kid, my mum, my dad, my brothers would come here, walk along the beach, do some rock pooling, buy an ice cream, maybe get some fish and chips. It was a regular trip to Saltburn. Obviously not in the winter though. But you can see there the cliffs, the hidden cliffs. That's where the smugglers would have brought their boats in, hidden from any casual observers, and they would do their little smuggling trade. One thing I've noticed, it is remarkably clean of litter. Hardly any. Just a few little scraps down there. But well done, Saltburn, or rather the people who visit Saltburn. And look at these things here. They would have been the old changing rooms, very popular during Victorian times. You can imagine people coming out with their stripy swimsuits. This fish and chip shop here, the Seaview Chippy, apparently is some of the best fish and chips in England. I tried to book it with my mum and my brother a few months ago. Couldn't get in. Fully booked up for like months in advance. Right, let's get on the pier and walk to the end. I'm lucky it's open because I was reading just last month it was closed for repairs for a few weeks, so I was wondering whether it'd be open, and it is. Let's go in. It is bitter out here, bitter, but look, the beach of Saltburn, and you can see the Victorian heritage there. I'm going to go up to some of these buildings at the top, and that Victorian heritage is to do with a guy or a family, the Peace family, who are from Darlington, who developed the Stockton and Darlington Railway. So they developed Middlesbrough as well, due to the location of the Cleveland Hills and the iron ore that was there. But they built the railway to Saltburn, and they decided, this place looks pretty good, why don't we buy some of the land and we can develop it? So they did exactly that, and they were hoping that it would attract the rich, industrialists from Middlesbrough and Darlington and Stockton, and it did, but it also attracted people who worked here in the mines. So it was a dual-edged win for them, and Saltburn became hugely popular during the Victorian era. People came here in their thousands, and by the 70s, with Spanish cheap holidays, people stopped coming here. And in the 80s, well, what happens to British seaside towns? Not great. Look how high we are. Right, so reach the end and the expanse of the North Sea. But back in the day, the pier was actually a little bit longer until a ship hit it, I think in the 1920s, and instead of deciding to repair it back to its original length, they just thought, let's just stop here and we'll repair it to there. So that's what they did. But now I'm going to walk back and maybe see some of those beach huts over there, those colourful beach huts, and go back up to the top. So if you want to look at the amusements, you've got to be accompanied by an adult if you're under 18, and this is what you get, the usual array of these sort of things which no one ever wins on, or this thing where you can win some, what are they? Or these, or you can even get your fortune told by Zoltar Speaks. So there, Saltburn cliff lift. Saves walking 220 feet up, and it was built originally by the Victorians so that people could access this pier. But unfortunately for me, it's only open in the summer months, so I've got to walk. I love how they've been coloured in, and all the different names: Elizabeth, George, Victoria. Are they named after the monarchs of the UK? Union Jack there fluttering above one of them. Someone's actually got one open. Between 30 and 50 quid. You can hire one of these. 30 and 50 quid. Is it worth it? I don't know. Right, let's climb these steps. Let's see if I'm still alive when I get to the top. So I reckon back in the heyday, these would have just been like holiday homes and hotels and B&Bs. But I'm actually coming up to a special house for any rock fans, because a famous rock star, world famous rock star, was born or lived or grew up in where I'm about to show you. Red House or Red Gables, and it's where David Coverdale, you know who David Coverdale is, don't you? Lead singer with Deep Purple, Whitesnake, massive 80s rock star, still going to this day I think, but he grew up in one of these buildings around here. David Coverdale, unbelievable. Strange statue of the man himself, Henry Peace, the old Quaker, whose vision made Saltburn. This is the guy who's responsible for it, and there's an actual picture of what it looked like, a rare image of Pease. And actually that building there, Saltburn House, that was where like the injured miners, he built that for them so they could recuperate in this like convalescent centre. Saltburn House. Right, I'm on Windsor Road, which according to Google Maps is like sort of like the high street. I can see a Sainsbury's ahead. Knick-knack, cards, books and gift shop. Guitars and amps, if you want to join a rock band. The mandolin. Saltburn Methodist Church. So just behind the church is the railway station, and this is what you'll see if you arrive by train. Welcome to Saltburn. And look, there's the station platform. But look at this little clock tower. This is actually quite nice. There's no boarded up shops. Saltburn seems to be doing all right. So I've come here to Teddy's Nook. So what happened was, when it was built by Henry Peace, it was meant to be like his holiday home, but nobody knows whether he actually used it or not. But what is known is apparently some eccentric old ladies soon lived there, and they had a lion as a pet, and they used to take it down to the beach for exercise, if you can believe that. Then during World War II, it was occupied by a couple of German spies, and they used to signal to the ships out into the North Sea with their lights. And then the juiciest gossip, according to this article, is to do with the eldest son of Queen Victoria, Edward, because he had a reputation as being a bit of a ladies' man. And when he was staying at the Zetland Hotel, which I'm going to show you in a second, there was a few ladies who lived here, and he used to nip across here to, you know, have a bit of fun. And it became known as Edward's Nook, Teddy's Nook. But now I'm going to walk to my final stop, possibly the grandest building in Saltburn. So this building behind me is the Zetland. It used to be the Zetland Hotel, and it was Henry Peace's flagship development for dignitaries to stay in. It was the first, or one of the first, railway hotels built in the world. Queen Victoria stayed there. It had 100 rooms, including special terraces, a telescope room, a ladies' coffee room, and a room for billiards. And it was described by somebody at the time as the most fashionable sea bathing place along the eastern coast. It closed during World War II, of course, and by the 70s, as we know, with the drop in tourism, that was it. It spelt the death knell for the Zetland Hotel, once the grandest building in Saltburn, and it closed completely down by the 80s, and now I think it's just flats. What a shame for a once amazing building. So that's my little tour of Saltburn-by-the-Sea done. Hope you've enjoyed it. Till next time, back to Middlesbrough for me. See ya.